Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden and we're going to kick off the series of Christmas beers that I'm going to be doing for you over the month of December. So I've got a good few beers that came out through the releases on the 1st of November. And you'll probably see a few that were released on the 1st of December as well. So really looking forward to this, and I hope that you guys enjoy this little mini-series too. For this particular review, we are going to head to the Swedish craft beer capital once again, and we're going to return to a brewery that pretty much most of you watching the channel will have heard of by now, because I've reviewed a hell of a lot of their beers, and they're one of the best known Swedish craft breweries. So for this one, we are going to return to Stigbergets Bryggeri, and we're having a look at their Christmas IPA. This one is called the Juleljus, which basically means the Christmas light, if you want to translate it into English, but it's a New England IPA coming in at 6.8% ABV, and it's supposed to be pretty good actually. It sits above 4 on the Untappd rating scale, which always tends to be, you know, pretty indicative of how your beer's going to turn out. So really curious to see how this beer turns out, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Stigbergets before. No doubt there will be some more at some point in the near future, because they're always bringing out new beers. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, pretty constantly to be honest. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Stigbergets Bryggeri then. So as I've told you before, Stigbergets Bryggeri are based in Gothenburg, and they were founded by Nils Hultkrantz and Richard Simonsson, and the pair own 2 bars that share the one kitchen. This is the Bar Chino and the Hagabjörn's Cafe, which you can find on Lina Gatan in the city, and both of these opened back in 2007. When I was up in Gothenburg recently, I actually managed to go and do a little bar visit there, so you'll see a little out and about video from Bar Chino and Hagabjörn's Cafe appearing at some point pretty soon. And it's actually an active cinema, which is quite an interesting experience as well. But originally the idea behind these guys brewing beer was that they wanted to just brew a few of their own things that they could sell in the bars, and this led to them kegging the beer and selling it on to other pubs, and eventually bottling them, which began in November of 2014. But the original beers were mainly English and German styles, but of course later on they started to experiment with the hoppy American style of beers, which is where they really made their name. The original head brewer that these guys had was Ole Anderson, who is the co-owner of OO Brewing. He was replaced for a period of time by Barnaby Struve, who was the vice president at Three Floyds, and he has since moved on as well. But they've recently opened up a new brewery at Partihalarna, where they brew 5,000 litre batches at a time, and they're also beginning to work on some sour beers as well, so you will see some Stigbergets sour beers. I think they started releasing those at the beginning of 2019, if I remember correctly. But they also started selling their beers in these 440ml cans, as opposed to the 330ml bottles that they had before. This allows them to export a little bit more, and they now have a brew team of Ollie Banks, who used to work for Beavertown in London, and Lucas Monroyd, who used to work for All In Brewing, one of the numerous gypsy breweries that you'll find around Gothenburg. But a very, very well known brewery, this one, mainly for beers such as the GBG Beer Week, which is now kind of being sold under the guise of the new and improved GBG Beer Week. The Amazing Haze was another very, very good one, and of course Ole Anderson for OO Brewing, he made the Narangi as well, and those were 3 kind of quite iconic IPAs here in Sweden when the New England style was just sort of getting going. But yeah, a brewery that you definitely want to check out. They're always good when they try different styles as well. I've had some interesting imperial stouts from these guys recently, and some of the sour beers, I have to say, are pretty good as well. I need to make sure and review a few more of those for you on the channel too, but it's definitely fair to say that this brewery are more focused on the New England IPAs rather than anything else. I'd love to see them have a go at a proper, you know, nice caramelly West Coast IPA. I think that would be an interesting project for these guys. But if you get the chance, check out their beers, pick a style you enjoy, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with it. But yeah, so let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer then. As always, the brewery website's in the description below. You can check that out if you want to learn more. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And if you are interested in all the different beers that they do, you can check out the Untappd and Rate Beer pages, which will tell you all those different things. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So as I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 6.8% New England IPA. The name is Juleljus, which literally translates into English as basically is, yeah, the Christmas light, essentially. So yeah, it's a Christmas tribute New England IPA, they're saying here. 6.8%, and this one has wheat, and does it say, it just says wheat, and it doesn't say oats in it actually, so yeah, interesting. But yeah, it should be a really nice beer, this one. As I said, this beer, I think this one was released on the 1st of November 2019, if I'm remembering correctly. I've done quite a few orders through Systembolaget recently, so I'm trying to remember exactly when this was released, but I'm sure it was the 1st of November that this guy came out. And I'm reviewing this one for you, quite fresh actually, on the 5th of November 2019. But I'm doing this video in preparation for heading to Japan again at Christmas, so you guys will see it probably in December. But yeah, we'll see how we get on with this one. Well, the head on this one is going a little bit crazy. But yeah, we'll leave it at that for the moment and just let it kind of settle down a little bit. So yeah, actually the artwork on this is really quite nice. It looks like the outline of a park or something, I have to say, the Christmas light. I don't know if that is meant to be one of the parks in Gothenburg or something like that, but I have to say it is quite nice. It says on the side, incidentally, that the artwork on this one is Martin Jakobsson, who I believe has done quite a few of the artworks for them in recent times. But yeah, as you can see, and as you would expect from a New England IPA, this one is poured a lovely bright orangey kind of hazy colour. You can see the head on this one is a little bit bumpy. It's about 1.25 fingers or so of it's a kind of creamy colour, this one. It's a little bit off-white rather than being perfect white. There's one or two big bubbles sticking to the side of the glass towards the bottom, and you can see a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of the head there too. But you know, overall it does look pretty much what you would expect from a New England IPA. There's nothing really surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance, but I will tell you, as soon as you open this one up, you get a lovely big waft of juicy fruity quality out of this one. So yeah, let's take a closer look at that aroma then and just see how we get on. Yeah, that's lovely. So, straight away with this one, for me, it's quite a smooth tropical fruit that you get out of this one. I want to say a bit of mango, definitely some kind of papayas, pineapple-y notes in there, maybe a bit of apricot or something like that as well. It really leans towards the soft, tropical fruit side of things, this beer, I have to say. I'm wondering what hops that could be. Could it be a little bit of like, it's not Sabro, I don't think. Could it be like a little bit of Idaho 7 and Citra or something like that? I don't know about Citra, to be honest. I mean, there's so many different American hops these days. I mean, I don't think it's Galaxy. I don't think it's pungent enough to be Galaxy. Galaxy is a very, very popular hop. Idaho 7's becoming really quite popular as well. But for me, the fruity notes that are coming out of this one are mainly, I think it's mangoes. I think it's a little bit of a kind of apricot-y sort of thing, a little bit of a papaya, and also a wee bit of a kind of apricot-y kind of note as well. There's maybe a wee bit of a kind of sort of limey, gooseberry sort of note to this beer as well, which is interesting, but I don't think there's too much of that. This is mainly a soft, tropical, fruity New England IPA for me. On the green side of the hops then, because we've spoken about the fruit so far, on the green side of the hops, I would say there's a good bit of floral character to this one. If you take the aroma in quite deeply, you can feel almost on the sides of the nose, you've got a good little bit of a floral aromaticity to this one. So that's not particularly surprising. There's a little bit of grassiness in there too, but I think the green side of the hops leans a little bit towards the floral side of things rather than the grassy side of things. But on the malt side of the beer then, there's not too much earthiness in this beer either. You can always get a little bit of it, but to me, mainly a nice kind of floral note, teeny bit of earthiness in the background. But it actually comes across, this beer almost comes across as being a little bit lactosey and milky in the malt base, like a little bit like a milkshakey IPA. There's some aromas in this that remind me a little bit of some of the Ale Farm IPAs that I've had over the last while. I've not reviewed a beer from them in a little while actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, the aroma to the malt base in this one, it does have a little touch of that milkshakey note to it. You can smell the lovely smooth, wheaty, white bready quality in there. A little bit of a biscuity note. And you've also got, you do also just have a little bit of slightly biscuity sweetness in there as well. So I mean, it has everything you would expect of the New England IPA. Some kind of lactosey, kind of milkiness, oaty creaminess, a little bit of a wheaty note in there as well. The oats I don't think are as obvious, but I think it's on the can. Like I say, I don't think there's oats in this one, to be honest with you. But yeah, kind of everything you would expect from a New England IPA. But I would say, compared to some of the other ones that I've had from Stigbergets recently, I'm trying to remember what the aroma of Amazing Haze and stuff is like. This one definitely to me comes across as being a little bit more milky and sort of dextrose. It's got a little bit more of that kind of milky kind of sugar thing to it. So yeah, it should be really interesting, this. So yeah, let's have a little look at this one and just see how we get on. This one is the Juleljus 6.8% New England IPA from Stigbergets Bryggeri in Gothenburg, Göteborg, and it's their Christmas release. So let's have a taste of this and see how we get on. 6.8% New England IPA. Slanja, skål. Yeah, that's a really nice beer. I mean, it is one of these ones, is if you've drunk quite a few Stigbergets beers, you know, it's not, it's very well done, and this is one of the better New England IPAs I've had from them recently. But it's just, it's not surprising, you know, you expect a good quality New England IPA from these guys, and again they've delivered, and I'm not surprised at that. But it's a really pretty nice beer. I would say this is one of the slightly stronger IPAs that I've had from them recently, to be honest. So yeah. First impression of this one is just how kind of smooth it is. I really like how this kind of comes across. Let's get the rest of it in there. But yeah, no, this is a solid IPA actually. I'm finding the palate of this one dries out really nicely, and you get a good bitterness to it actually on the back of the tongue. So that's interesting, because the way the flavours come out in this one's a little bit different compared to the other ones that I can think of from Stigbergets as well. So this beer gets a thumbs up from me. I can see why this one is rated you know, quite highly. And I have to say, there was a bit of a time with Stigbergets when they moved into the new brewery and the quality of the beers just went down a little bit. It was almost just like teething problems. But I have to say, in recent times, I think they really are starting to kind of up their game again a little bit. They're starting to get to the sort of heights again that they were at just when Ole Anderson was about to leave. So yeah. But of course the thing then is, when you think about it, they were the ones who really pioneered this style in Sweden, and Ole Anderson was the brewer that did it. But I think, you know, the people, it's almost a little bit more like the people are kind of saturated with this style now. So it's almost, some people might disagree with that statement I said, where Stigbergets are getting back up to where they were. But I think probably because people are more used to this style, they put the standards a little bit higher. I always feel the bar is moving up when it comes to craft beer, to be honest with you. But personally, I think this beer is, you know, I think this one's pretty much as solid as like Amazing Haze or the new and improved GBG or Beer Week. You know, I think this one is on that same level, to be honest with you. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it in the description below. But Gothenburg, of course, is the kind of IPA city in Sweden, I guess. But yeah, let's get on to the flavour then. Sorry, rabbiting on. So, straight away with this beer, you can feel that nice, wheaty, white bready note. That blankets the middle of your tongue. The wheat in this one is a little bit more kind of pungent and astringent almost. You can really feel the wheat just pushing its way out of the flavour later on. In the middle of the palate, I'm going by the mouthfeel of this one. I really don't think there's oats in this beer because of how sort of dry the wheat becomes a little bit later on. In the very centre of your palate, you've got a little bit of a biscuit. And there is almost just a little bit of a kind of spicy character to this one, which in fairness, you know, it does kind of suit the sort of Christmassy theme that they're going for with this one. To be honest, I always wondered, there always was a little bit of a fine line between the white IPAs and New England IPAs. The key difference, of course, was that you would tend to use oats, whereas the white IPA was pretty much a wheat base. And I'm wondering about that. Could this be a little bit more of a white IPA rather than a New England? It's an interesting point to make about that. We can talk about sub-styles all day, but I think the spiciness of this one, that's what kind of gives it its Christmas edge, because, you know, you always talk about winter warmers and higher alcohol and, you know, a little bit of spiciness quite often too. So the little bit of spiciness that the wheat has in this beer is interesting. It's almost just like a teeny bit peppery or something like that, but not overpowering. So bear that in mind. It's got the wheat has a little bit of dryness to this one. It comes out more in the aftertaste, but in the very centre of your tongue, you do have a little bit of there's definitely a little bit of a kind of biscuity flavour to this one, which is nice. And I would say as well that the more you drink of this beer, you will start to get a little bit of those kind of, I don't know if it's right to say dextro, you know, the sort of slightly milkshakey, sweety kind of flavours that you can get from these New England IPAs. You will start to notice that just towards the front of your palate. When you take it in and you just feel your palate start to dry out, that's when you'll get the little sort of sweet thing in there, but it's nowhere near as sort of milkshakey as the Aroma might have you believe that it is. This beer is definitely a bit more wheaty and dry in terms of its malt base, but I like that. It's a different approach from Stigbergets, and I mean, these guys are capable of doing different things, so it's always interesting. The hoppy side of the beer then. Back corners of the palate, I definitely think there's a little bit of earthiness in here. The bitterness that this beer has is quite distinctive too. I wonder if they've used a bit of Columbus as a bittering hop in this one. Just because it's got that really quite distinctive spicy character there. I wouldn't be surprised if this is using a Columbus base, and you know, they're using other hops later on for the flavour, and aroma hops and stuff like this, because the spiciness that's on the front of the tongue, as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue, there's definitely a little bit more of that spiciness towards the front kind of corners of the palate, and as you go round the front curve of the tongue, it's just that little bit lighter and more grassy, but something a bit old school about the spiciness in this beer. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Columbus, like I said, pardon me. But behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. And for me, this one is this is an interesting one, because it's definitely got a bit more of that pungent tropical fruit to it, which doesn't come out so much in the Aroma. Yeah, so if you go towards the back of that oily bubble, there's definitely a little bit of a kind of passion fruity note there, and I wouldn't be surprised, going by the flavours that are in this, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of Galaxy in here. But as you come further forward from that slightly darker passion fruity note, it smooths out, you start to get, I don't know if it's quite mangoes, but it really starts to smooth out, and you start to get that more kind of pineapple-y, apricot-y, almost papaya type flavour to the beer. And then as you reach the front tip of the tongue, it does get a little bit sort of gooseberry-like, and is it right to say, yeah, I think gooseberries is probably a good descriptor for it actually. Lychee, I don't think so, but I wouldn't be surprised if Galaxy and Columbus were two of the hops in here. The other one, I think there is probably another one in there as well. Not quite sure if it's Citra, but it could be like Idaho 7 or something like that, to be honest with you. I'm guessing. I always like playing Guess the Hops with these beers, but this one, it's definitely got a nice bit of that darker tropical fruit to it, which kind of aids the bitterness that this beer has, because that kind of darker tropical fruit note always goes hand in hand with the sort of the big hoppy bitterness, if you like. But it's definitely got some of the nicer kind of juicy tropical fruit in there as well, like I was describing, papayas and stuff like that. So yeah, this is a really pretty nice beer, I have to admit, and it dries out the further you go into the aftertaste. The thing that lingers there is some of that floral spiciness, and also a little bit of the kind of passion fruity notes, and at the front of the tongue you get a little bit of the kind of papayas and pineapples and things like that too. So yeah, I mean, this is a really pretty damn solid New England IPA from Stigbergets, but you know, we know this brewery, we're not really surprised about that, but I think this is one of the stronger ones that they've done in recent times. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say that this is a mid-bodied beer. Yeah, mid-bodied. Carbonation is very smooth with this one. It leans a little bit towards being oily, but quite smooth, but oily at the same time. In terms of hoppy bitterness, I think we're talking about 40 with this one. I think we're talking 40 IBUs. And I think part of the spiciness that this beer has is coming from the malt base as well. So from that sort of wheaty pungency that the beer has, you really get that lingering into the aftertaste. But yeah, about 40 IBUs, good smoothness to the malt base, a little teeny bit of sweetness in there, but almost a little bit spicy, and then you've got some nice kind of fruity esters to this one as well. So overall, this is a really nice example of a New England IPA, and I think the slight spiciness that this one has is what kind of makes it ideal for winter. So yeah, thumbs up to Stigbergets Bryggeri for this one. I think they've pulled off quite a nice winter New England IPA there. As I say, I would really love to see how these guys would brew a kind of classic, you know, torpedo style West Coast double IPA, or just a regular IPA. I think that would be a really thing. Sculpin would be the other sort of mold to take for that. I'd love to see what Stigbergets could do with a West Coast IPA. But in terms of a Christmas New England IPA, I think they've done pretty damn solidly, to be fair. So yeah, let's leave it at that. This one is the Juleljus, the Christmas Light, from Stigbergets Bryggeri in Gothenburg. You know, they've done another solid beer with this. So if you get the chance to try this one, have a go at it. It's been released here in Sweden a little while ago, and I'm sure it'll be starting to make its way around to other parts of the world as well. But yeah, thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Stigbergets Bryggeri as well, and do let me know your own thoughts on this particular beer in comparison to the other Stigbergets ones as well. That would be quite interesting to read about. I always enjoy reading your comments and learning a little bit from you guys as well, which is always great. So yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Once again, the Juleljus 6.8% New England Christmas IPA from Stigbergets in Gothenburg here in Sweden. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Slange, skål, cheers.